has the expertise you and your family deserves.
Give me, Alicia Clifford, a call today for a free quote at 352-245-5455.
With a graduate degree in management and leadership from Webster University, there'll never be a better time for you to explore what's next in your career. Classes are scheduled so you can continue your normal workday routine, and the accelerated program means a new term starts about every 10 weeks. If you're looking to gain a broad general management and leadership perspective, then Webster University's Management and Leadership degree program is the right one for you. It's all a part of what's next at Webster University.
Go to webster.edu/manage, accredited by ACBSP.
What do I do now? After 911, don't worry, call Fakuri. Fakuri Medical and Chiropractic, treating auto injuries for over 32 years. Same-day appointments, immediate medical attention, all under one roof. Don't worry, call Fakuri. Go to bestinjurycare.com. All auto insurances are accepted. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take your call. Car accident? Don't worry, call Fakuri. bestinjurycare.com. Tired of looking at stained carpets, dirty tile, or grout? Call Silverback Restoration, 414-5312. Make your flooring look great again. Stains, pet odors, allergies. Call Silverback Restoration, 414-5312. From serving our country to serving our community. Silverback Restoration, 414-5312. Residential and commercial. Their work is guaranteed along with your satisfaction. Check their website, silverbackrestoration.com. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. It's June. You may be in the near future going on a road trip for the summer. A lot of us do. I've done this many times myself. You get into a town you're not familiar with, you're hungry, right?
Exactly.
What do you look for? Something familiar. Golden Arches, right? Howard Johnson's. Something familiar, right? And why is that? What is it about the human psyche that makes us favor things that we're more familiar with? And how can we use that part of human psyche to benefit us as business people? Jeff Lazarus is on the phone. He is a business coach. He's an agent and a best-selling author. He's been with us before, and today he's on to talk to us about ways that we can build a brand for maximum impact on our careers. Jeff Lazarus, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm looking for the Golden Arches myself.
And what's interesting is we all understand that when it comes to restaurants, but we don't understand that when it comes to ourselves. Like if I want to get a job as whatever, I need to brand myself too, don't I?
You really do, and it's a concept that's foreign to most people. It's because the attention and the exploration needs to be on yourself, and that's scary for a lot of people. It's easy to look at the external, but not the internal.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think we would prefer somebody else to do that for us, or we will write something about ourselves in the third person, which is kind of weird. So what are your suggestions? What should we do?
Well, the first step is to understand what a personal brand is, and this is what I talk about to students and when I'm giving talks, whether it's keynote platform, is that really, in a sense, when it comes to business, you really are the center of the universe. Now, I don't want that to get to anybody's head, but it's true that everything begins with you, because we talk about the product that we have, but we don't realize that it's still us that we're selling. And it's not that, hey, come by me and we're going to outwardly say it, but we need to create that relatability as to who we are. Because if I said, for example, hey, I'm an author and I have a book, and I'm going to sell you my book, you might say, well, that's great, but I don't read, and you'll move on. But if I sold you to believe in me, that I'm a creative, I'm a strategist, I'm a guy that leads with strategy, and I can do that in any capacity in any business, you might think, wow, I wonder how that guy can help me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that creates the bridge.
Yeah, especially if you're specific. I'm going to give you an example. There are lots of people we speak to on this show who write books, and I want to specifically talk about the children's book authors, because children's book authors typically need to find an illustrator. And it's interesting to hear them talk about it because they either want an illustrator, which is almost like saying any illustrator, or they want a specific person who has a specific style. And I'm just guessing, based on what everybody has told me, that that's the higher priced brand, is the one who's, in demand, like a Will Terry. I don't know if you know that name or not, but somebody who's got made a name for himself with a specific style.
Yeah, it's very true, and I do deal with a lot of children's authors, and you're right, I get the email, "Hey, Jeff, I need an illustrator. Can you help?" It's kind of funny. I get that probably about every other day.
And so, but branding is something, here's the thing, though. If you are looking for a job with a corporation and you're hoping to be with that corporation or with a government agency for 10, 20, 30 years, the rest of your life, I don't know how many people still do that these days, but let's just say that's the example. You really only need to brand yourself until you land that job, right? Or am I wrong about that?
I think you're very right, and here's an example that we've all been in or certainly know about. You go on a job interview, and you're there and you're talking about the job, and the person interviewing you says, "You know what? This may not be the job for you, but we have something else." And when they say that, it's because they saw something in you. Right? And in any interview, they're asking questions about, okay, tell me about your last job, where do you want to be in 5 years, and all the cliche questions, right? And hopefully some better ones. But the thing is, it's really your chance to demonstrate that brand, because they are buying a brand. Otherwise, they're looking just for a person to sit and push paper, right? But it's your opportunity to separate yourself against the others. The unique value that you bring to the world, to a position, to a client, whoever it is that's listening.
How do you get the individual to narrow down their brand? Because sometimes some individuals are multi-talented. And how do you get them to focus on one before trying to focus on another?
Sure. There's usually a common brand to everything. Now, for example, myself, I might be an author, an agent, a business coach, a consultant in healthcare. I'm those things, right? But those are the titles that I am. At my very core, after doing a personal inventory, and here's how we get there, in understanding who I am. I mentioned strategist before. I do lead with strategy. Everything's about strategy, right? In fact, I'm an idea guy, and I tell people up front, hey, I'm all these things, but I'm an idea guy, and when you work with me, this is what's going to happen. We're going to not just get outside the box, we're going to get a mile away from the box, and that's the experience in whatever capacity I work with you. So that's the impression I'm leaving, because the definition of a personal brand is the impression, the perception, and the image that we want to convey.
Can you guarantee success when a person comes to you?
I guarantee success when a person is open and willing. And it's kind of like going to therapy. You're going to get out of therapy what you put in. If you go there kicking and screaming saying this won't work for me, it won't. But if you have an open mind, the ability to look inside, do the personal inventory of your characteristics, your values, your attributes, and work on it, I guarantee success. I've had 100% success with clients.
You know what's interesting to me is the Tony Robbins story, because Tony Robbins was recognized as an authority early on in his life. He looked like a kid when he first started, right? How did he do that? What did he do? And this is, I'm guessing, the same technique you are teaching, right? How do you convince people that you are an authority? And I'm not saying he wasn't an authority. I think it's quite obvious that we have young people who are very, very knowledgeable about their area of expertise, whether it's computers or art or sports or anything. But how does one convince other people that you're an authority, especially to the point where they're willing to pay for your expertise?
Sure, you guys make such great, wonderful points and questions. I love this. And Tony Robbins is an incredible example, but he, like everybody else, didn't have to say, hey, I'm an authority, right? Authority is something that's earned, and you actually get to that point. And it's when you have people seeking you out when you're seen as having knowledge, and I'm always afraid of the word expert, right? Because people say, I'm an expert on.
Yeah.
Nobody's a know-it-all. But somebody that is very knowledgeable and a really natural leader. And that's what Tony became. You know, after so many years, I got curious about him, and I had a friend that said, hey, I got an extra ticket to Unleash the Power Within. I said, I got to go and see what this is about. The key is that Tony was telling the truth on stage, and I'll never forget this one line he said. He said, everybody here is excited, jumping up and down, but the truth is most of you will go home and return to your normal lives in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Without change. Right, and so I have one client now who said, I am an influencer. And I said, well, that's like a celebrity saying, I'm popular.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're right. I mean, we're all influencers in a way. So does the website, let's see, I went to the website, brandedwithauthority.com. That's your website? Correct?
Yeah, that's one of my websites for the overall agency business. What's exciting is you can look at two other Speakers with Authority, which is a speakers bureau that we have with a couple of household names on there, which is exciting. And then we're soon launching the personal brand platform. And right now, you could look at youthebrand.live to see my 5 commandments of personal branding.
Now, Larry had a story this morning about the IHOP. And so they've been branded all these decades about pancakes, and now they're going into burgers. And they've had some not so nice comments from Wendy's, I think, and Burger King in Larry's news story. Was that a good idea for IHOP to just all of a sudden try to dismiss what it is that their brand, they're famous for, the pancakes, to try to delve into another realm?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I learned about this just last week, and I was upset because I'm thinking, wait, what about my chocolate chip pancakes?
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I know they have a full menu, and I know they're trying to expand the reach that, hey, we're not just, pancakes and breakfast anymore. But, that's a risk because, in a sense, just like the comment was made when you opened up the show about McDonald's and Howard Johnson, boy, there's a name. It's the same thing with IHOP. It's, you come to expect something. It has a reliability. I mean, heck, don't they have the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity?
Exactly. And that's a key word there, reliability. And when an individual is pitching themselves to do something, they have to make sure that whoever they're pitching themselves to for a job or whatever it is they're doing, that they are reliable and can come through.
Yeah, it's very true, and that's going to be a great case study. I love that you brought that up. I'm going to follow it now intentionally to see how that works for them, because changing your brand, I mean, it has worked for many, and it's failed for others. So we'll see, because remember, the personal brand is all about connection. It's creating relatability, which is connections, right? We connect with those that we relate to. We want to be a part of them. So this is going to be an awesome case study.
I'm curious about your coaching. When you are coaching an author, for example, and you want them to have a recognizable brand, an authority, for example, on the law would show up, let's say, on a TV talk show wearing a three-piece suit, obviously, or some kind of a suit, right? You still say three-piece, Robin, or am I dating myself when I say that?
No, it's still three-piece. Yeah, Men's Warehouse still has three-piece suits.
All right. But on the other hand, if you're trying to be the next, Ernest Hemingway, you might want to be intentionally a little sloppy. Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, by the way, I was wrong. I thought three-piece suit was a jacket, pants, and a cell phone. but I've been corrected. Yeah, I mean, people can be sloppy, and it's funny how sloppy works, but sometimes sloppy has a charisma and an appeal to it. But here's the key, and I'd love to say this on stage because people are like, what is he talking about? It's that relatability equals outcomes. This is my equation. Relatability equals outcomes. See, we always want to get up there and talk about our story. And I was at a conference yesterday, and every speaker got up and told about their story. And quite frankly, nobody cares, right? It's really true. It's sad that we don't care because we're sitting there.
That's right, though.
We're wanting to turn into the other radio station, WIIFM, What's in it for me? And so it's the speaker that says, hey, I have the solution. It's 3 steps. Here's my program. Come see me. They're like, oh, wow, that's the person. That's relatability. That's who we buy from.
Yeah, I guess so. When well, we all, I don't know. It is interesting how, okay, like using authors or people who bring us entertainment, whether it's a book or a movie or something, we do want to know a little bit about their backstory, even if we don't know, even if it has nothing at all to do with the story they're telling or the information they're trying to deliver.
We do, but it's a skill to be woven in. See, people rely on it. I mean, you're absolutely correct. But if I got up there and said, here's my sad story for 10 minutes, thank you for coming, come buy from me in the back of the room, it fails. Right? It fails miserably. But to say, if I said to somebody, hey, I'm an author, this is what I can do for you, and then I weave in carefully, it wasn't that many years ago, after eating at IHOP, I started becoming an author, and through this and X, Y, and Z, here's what I have achieved. This is what I can do for you. So it's really weaving in part of my story, and guess what? It's strategic. Great point.
I just want to tell you, part of what Robin and I do is to try to guide authors, because we have them on all the time, and we try to guide them so they go down that path so that the listeners know what's the book about or how can the book benefit them. And a lot of times authors don't get that. We end up talking about, surfing in California, and the book may be about how to make the perfect omelet.
Exactly.
And it's like, hold on, we got to get back on track here. And I think that's part of it too. We have a tendency, we're talking, it's small talk, and everybody wants to just tell how you're doing. But at the same time, you do have a purpose, which is to get people to be interested in the book.
And that's the first question that I ask anybody that says, I want to write a book. Great. What's your purpose? I want to tell my life story. And I'm like, okay, what's your unique value proposition? And they say, well, my story through all the turbulent times, and today I'm successful. And I'll say, great. What's your unique value? And they'll say, I just told you. And I'll say, no, you just told me what thousands of people are telling everybody.
Yeah.
Right? It's still finding the purpose, the unique value. What's different about you? And guess what? This is where personal brand comes in. Somebody could tell their story, but they could say, this is how my brand was born. My brand was born because of this. And today, here is my brand. Here's the colors of my brand. Here's what it sounds like.
Do you believe in the statement, it's who you know that will make you succeed?
I do to a large degree. I think success has a lot of components. I was recently asked if I believed in luck. And I said, well, as a superstitious hockey fan, oh, yes. but I believe in that the more energy you put out and the more you show up, the more things can happen. And there's a large degree of a numbers game, right? So if you're going to do something 100 times, it's likely to work out at some point, right?
You've written a really, one of the books that stands out for me is Listen Like a Dog and Make Your Mark on the World. It just seems dogs are just so fascinating. They latch onto their owners, and they actually do listen, and people have that problem where they'd rather be talking instead of listening to good advice.
Yeah, and that's really one of the main symptoms, is that people do talk. And they talk and they talk, and it's an output-driven world. Just go on Facebook. Everybody wants to pour out everything from, it's raining here, to look what I had for breakfast. No, it wasn't IHOP. but the point is listening. Listening is a great part to lead with. To say, look, my brand is a communicator. It's an intake person. I'm all about input, and I want to listen and understand. And thank you for mentioning Listen Like a Dog, because we've seen great success. It's actually on its 4th language, and it's going to come out in Portuguese as the 5th language soon. It's very exciting.
Do people that grow up in different cultures, have you noticed that they have the same level of success as they're doing something the same as their counterpart in like America?
I have a lot of clients in Europe, Australia, and South Africa. And the entrepreneur client has all of the same issues I'm finding. I expected, I don't know what I expected, but I thought it would be a lot different. But it's really the same thing. It's finding that inner voice, and as an author, you really need to find that inner voice to hit your stride. But guess what I teach authors on day one? Personal brand, right? You can call it your author brand, whatever you want to call it. It still is your personal brand. I find that same struggle, whatever the continent the client is on. Very interesting observation. Great question.
Do you know, Robin and I are members of the National Association of Campus Activities. I don't know if you are also. And we went to one of their conventions in Chattanooga, maybe a little over a year ago. And one of the things that we've noticed, now Robin and I were there because we, at that time, were doing music for schools. But one of the things we noticed is how many speakers there are that are attending those conventions for the very purpose of finding paying gigs to speak. And when I say speaker, it could be somebody with like a political agenda. It could be somebody who's a comedian. I saw hypnotists. I guess those are speakers. Magicians, and they've got to do a lot of speaking and doing tricks also. They're entertainers. But the people who just stand there and talk, it's amazing. Whether it's a comedian or a lecturer on the space program or something like that. They all had a specific topic. Even the speaker. We had the guy who did the music for Seinfeld.
Oh, Jonathan Wolf.
Yeah, he was there, and we had lunch with him, and he speaks. He does demonstrate a little bit of the music, but he's mostly talking about his life, what he did, writing all that music for the TV shows.
Wow, see, I don't know him. I'd love to, and by the way, I'm not a member of that. I'm willing to join if the hazing is not too brutal. I'll do it. I'm willing to. But see, once somebody achieves a certain status, like the iconic Seinfeld, which I am an addict, by the way, then we actually want to hear their story. So when somebody like Jonathan Wolf, Oprah Winfrey, and heck, Tony Robbins that we talked about, says, I want to tell you my story. Okay. They've actually earned that place where we get the history of success, so we've already bought in. See, we've bought into who they are. So now we might buy a whole series of books all about their life, right? But that's because they've been so well established, we're buying their brand, and we want to know the background of that brand.
That is true, yeah, that is true. So is this part of what you teach people, is how to become a paid speaker, for example? And I know that the Association for Campus Activities is one way to do that.
Yeah, it is one way to do it. Just even yesterday, I had people coming up to me on the break saying, hey, I want to be a speaker. I'm like, great. So what's the unique value that you bring to a talk? Well, I have a life story. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Here we go, right? So it's really all about, again, getting there and getting that status. And are people going to pay for you to speak? How do we get there? And it's by building the product. And you might get there through a book, a series of webinars. I mean, you might write a song. There's so many things we can do, but those become the products and extensions of our brand, to be redundant, right?
Yeah.
But it's true.
Do you know what I think is a killer for those folks is when they have the angry delivery.
Oh, yeah.
They might have a good message, but they deliver it as if somehow you have no clue, and it's very condescending, and they're talking to you in an angry tone. If you want to survive in this world, you're gonna have to, and they'll tell you, and it'll be like, okay, thank you, Dad, I'm going now.
We had one of those yesterday, and honestly, right when he was done, the people at our table all said, gee, I wonder if he still talks to his parents. It was all about his upbringing and this and that, and it's like, do I buy because I'm scared? Like, what do I do here?
And then you've got the person that feels that, okay, they've written a book, Now that's all they want. They don't want to have hands-on with anything else. All they want to do is hire somebody and say, I want to go on late night talk shows. I want to do book signings in New York City. I want to turn this into a screenplay for a major film company, and they don't want to do any of the work themselves. They just think they can hire somebody and then it'll all be taken care of.
Robin, that's an unbelievable point. People come to me all the time saying, okay, Jeff, I want to be a New York Times bestseller. Great, what's your name? It starts at the beginning, and we have people asking for all sorts of things. Wonderful point, but it comes down to the point of what's your unique value proposition? How are you going to get there? What are you going to bring to the world? Instead of looking externally, I want to achieve this status, great. What are you going to do to earn that, right? What's the purpose and unique value that we're going to buy? Because remember, we're going to have to buy you. So once you get to that point, we're going to buy a lot of you. And that's a tough road. It's not easy, right? And mind you, as an author, my first books came out. Nobody knew who I was. And guess what? I didn't even do a responsible job of creating the personal brand. And I was getting on the radio talking about dogtology, right? My first book, near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, and it just came out along with, of course, Catechism, the cat version.
That was fun.
Right. That was fun. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
And I would get on the radio, and they'd want to know about me. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean about me? I want to talk about the book. But the host wants to know about me.
Yeah, that's me too. I always do that. I always want to know where you are. Where are you, by the way?
I'm in Southern California.
Ah, okay. Soon to be 3 states.
Only 3. I'm applying for the island that floats further west. But yeah, so but when it comes down to it is, look, I always say now, and here's what I tell clients, what I tell people from stage, is I am a creative. In fact, I love to create in a very unique way. I took my love for dogs in a creative way. I put it to paper. I named my love for dogs. In fact, I called it a religion. I trademarked it. I wrote the book. It's a bestseller. It got picked up here and here.
Yeah.
That's an outward form of my creativity.
And can I...
Yep.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jeff, but what I think you did differently and with brilliance... let me tell you what people do wrong, and then you'll see what I mean by what you did right. When the Beatles came out, there were a lot of Beatles bands, like, Beatles like bands. When Seinfeld came out, there were a lot of Seinfeld-like stand-up comics. When Tony Robbins started doing his thing, there were a lot of, all of a sudden, out of the woodwork were coming these people giving advice and standing up on a stage telling people how to live. The problem with that is that if you are resembling the person or the group that inspired you, I don't know. It's like getting a generic brand of cereal or something. I want sugar frosted flakes. I don't want this off brand, right? And so you created something completely of your own, and that set you apart. And so you've probably spawned people who've also done dog books and cat books. You've probably spawned them without, maybe you don't even know about them. But those are the ones who come across as the knockoffs, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some of the parts of the book actually appear on shirts and coffee mugs, and that really gets to me. But,
oh no!
But you know what? I'm out doing the same thing. We have a lot of plans for Dogtology and Catechism. But and the point is that that's how I want to be seen as a creative, and say this guy can really come up with some unique stuff. Again, that's a lot of my brand, right? So I don't want them to buy me because I am an author. That's generic.
Right.
But I want them to buy the creative that I am. That's what I bring.
Real quickly, I know we went over, if you're looking to write a book, if you want to be a public speaker, if you want to get paid for your expertise, you might want to check out some of Jeff's websites. The one I think you want us to focus on is youthebrand.live. Is that right?
Yep, that's a good site for the 5 commandments of personal branding.
All right, youthebrand.live. I'm sorry, youthebrand.live. Youthebrand.live. Jeff, I apologize for taking you over the time limit. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank Thank you. You're only digging into my IHOP time. That's all.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Friends, countrymen, tourists, and Ocalans, lend me your ears. Hey, speaking of ears, there is an opportunity for you to help feed and provide good maintenance, housing, and medical care for Marion County's rescued big cats, bears, monkeys, and other disabled or unreleasable wild and exotic animals. Take a tour on Wednesdays or Saturdays of the Endangered Animal Rescue Sanctuary. Adults $20, children 12 and under just $12. Call 352-266-2859 for any questions. Here is your 1-minute news brief from the source WOCA. Ocala Police canines have new bullet and stab protective vests thanks to a donation